Welcome into the crypto bunker. Today, I want to talk to you guys about obviously what's happening in the markets. You know, if you've been following me for the past couple months, you know that my base case scenario was always that we were going to potentially come down and touch the 200-week SMA. I believe I was one of the first people to say this. I believe I was one of the first people to talk about gold. I think it was probably around these levels up here where I started to talk about transferring into gold from crypto. And gold is holding up really well here. I really like the way that gold looks. And that's kind of besides the point. And I've also at the same time been saying, hey, you should have equal amounts precious metals, cash, and crypto, right? And then that cash that you have on the sidelines, you can use to average into crypto. But the fact that my base case was that we were going to go into a longer bear, still sort of, is just saying this is another place to average in my opinion. I mean, when you have these like capitulations, like these, basically my targets were reached on Matic. We have this level at 81, and then we have the level on Polkadot that was reached here at 11. It's pretty funny how both those basically hit the exact numbers. I'm not saying that's going to be the bottom, because I do think that there's a potential we come back down to these levels, like $5-6 for Polkadot, as well as 50 cents for Matic potentially. So keep that in mind. I mean, these are down 15% on the day. And, we obviously have some of the other ones that I like, Energy Web Token. I'm looking at like a 180 target for that. I've talked about the Bitcoin target, ETH looks better really, like in terms of just not yet hitting these even close to these lows, right? I mean, if you think about where Bitcoin is basically at 30K where we bottomed out around these levels, but ETH is not even close to that. So ETH is still struggling, not struggling, but is still finding like potential support here. I drew that line as like this kind of how we started. And this is funny enough. I mean, probably, was like my last line in the sand, back in the day when I was more bullish and just thinking like, hey, this is what could happen and things. But, I still think 1400 is probably a good spot for ETH, and where we can find some support around those levels. And, we have UST losing the peg, obviously, is a stable coin that, supports the ecosystem. And so, the ecosystem is sort of hurting here. I think that it's tough on days like this, to look at something, but like Luna, that's getting crushed, and it's into, some major support. Obviously, tough to buy on a day like this. We're below that trend line, but we are sort of right at, this sort of trend line here. Maybe not quite yet, but so that's what we're looking at there. I did just kind of want to do this as like a quick update. We have the S&P 500 obviously selling off, significantly below the 100 SMA. I believe that we are sort of oversold on the short term here for probably a lot of these. I'm not sure about crypto necessarily, but I am saying that in terms of, I always had this like 3,500 target here. We've actually already hit this target on the Nasdaq, which is interesting. So if you look at the Qs, right, and the Nasdaq, we are seeing those targets met. As you can see, that support line has been drawn for a while. And this is basically just like the run up that we had from the COVID lows. So this is essentially the Fed just printing money here. And now we came all the way back now to where they, the original sort of QE infinity here with the Fed. So I think that that's kind of interesting. It's an interesting spot to average in if you're a long-term investor, if you are someone that has cash on the sidelines in an IRA. I also like gold miners here, and I like gold. Obviously, I'll cover that. This just looks really good to me. The fact that we're holding like right around these moving averages, this is kind of exactly what I had said, when we were up here, that we looked at like a top and that we could come back and test these moving averages. And so that's what we're doing now. So yeah, I like gold here. I like gold. I like GDX as well, which is like gold miners. I think that they're oversold as, in comparison to where the gold price is. And I don't think that the gold price will necessarily go much lower. So, a lot of these companies are producing gold at like $1,000, $700, $800, $900. So they're making just boatloads of profits at these levels, for gold. And if you look at it, sort of in an all-time perspective, we're obviously still like, trending up, but we haven't really like broken out yet. So I do think that comes at some point. I don't know when. It could be like a year, 2 years, and then we kind of finally go for that high. But if you're again, long-term investor, I do think that the Fed will struggle to keep inflation. I think this Fed will struggle to get inflation below back to 2%. I think that we'll see inflation come down from 8%, and it will probably start to base out around 4%, 5% even. And then I think like next winter, we could even bump back up to 8, and then we kind of go through this like bumping up and down of like from 8 to 4 range. So that's kind of what I'm seeing. So gold is a bet on that. Gold is a bet that we will not go below 4% because bonds will. A lot of people don't think the Fed can or will raise rates above 3% or even 4%, which means we're sitting at a negative real rate. So you wouldn't hold a bond in a negative real rate environment where we have inflation. And so you would hold gold. And that's kind of where gold comes into play. I do think that we could see gold, come back up and kind of go around these levels at some point. I don't know when that will be. Again, could be a year, 2 years, 3 years from now. Sort of these are the levels that I look at in terms of, probably did this on like a monthly chart basis, on a log or something like that. But if you just kind of look at the all-time chart of gold, you can see that this kind of was this top here and then this top, and that kind of puts us up here, depending on what year, obviously around 2,600. So, and then we obviously have like these two sort of supports with that, and then that would bring us up to like 4,500. So there's a lot of upside, potential in gold, especially in an inflationary environment, recessionary environment where no one really knows where to allocate, because you can't really allocate too much to tech. You can't really allocate to crypto as much as you would like to. Crypto is not an inflation hedge at this point. It is a leveraged bet on like the Nasdaq essentially. So because we're so early in the crypto space, people are, looking at this and they are, still thinking it's like a complete, risk on. It's very early, 1999. Potentially this is like the bubble that popped, the Nasdaq bubble. So again, those are some of the assets that I kind of cover. So hopefully you guys got something out of the video. If you did, please like, subscribe, and have a great day. And if you have any questions, feel free to post in the comments. If you're feeling like you want to rant, or you're feeling upset about the market, you're kind of whatever you're feeling, just put it in the comments and I'll try to address it for you. And other than that, be safe, have a great day.